I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the look that drives the girls wild. I got the moves that really move them. I send chills up and down their spines. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I make them hot. I make them shiver. Their knees get weak. Whenever I'm around, they see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like they're on cloud nine. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just the U.S. champ. I'm not your boy toy. Eat your heart out, girls. Hands off the merchandise. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. And I've got my hair officially stuck in my my hair is stuck in my robe. All right, there we go. There we go. A little bit of contortion required here. All right, let's get going. Whew. All right, that was a time. What an adventure. All right, folks. Please welcome, of course, the one and only Deacon No Name. What's up, Deacon No Name?
Hey, Jesus saves. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Excited about today's program. I got my hair stuck in my robe, so that was
I know, a pastoral problem. That's something that the lay folk just don't understand. They don't.
So there's
they don't have to deal with these things.
There's so much that people just don't understand, but it's been a crazy weekend. So first off, folks, I've been a little frazzled this weekend, as you know, my one black friend, who's not here because I'm talking to Deacon No Name. As you can tell, I'm frazzled by me not misgendering people, but just flat out calling them the wrong name, wrong race,
I'm often mistaken.
Are you often mistaken for black guys?
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Especially downstairs, right?
Yeah, in the dark.
A little darker down there, a little larger than most. They just get
with the lights out and naked. I do a pretty good black guy impression.
But as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. All right. A couple of quick things because we got a lot to get to today. So on tonight's broadcast, we will be reacting. Let me turn myself down a little bit. To Chapter 4 of Christopher Hitchens' God is Not Great, entitled A Note on Health to Which Religion May Be Hazardous. So we are going to be talking about how religion may be hazardous to your health. Quick programming reminder, last night on this channel during Late-Night Counter-Apologetics, we reacted to Taylor, a cell biologist who says that science points to God. On Rebecca's Bread of Life channel, Be sure to check out that. Earlier today on Hot Program YouTube channel with MyOneBlack Friend, we interviewed Otangelo about the Shroud of Turin. The link for that channel is in the description. Want to take a quick moment here to introduce the crew. Of course, Sam is in the house resting from a very difficult weekend of sleeping and treating and pooping outside in the yard.
It's a dog life.
Of course, you can't make sure you're the flyest man in the cult of the flying man without the golden mirror. Golden Mirror's in the house tonight, but Golden Mirror needs a charge. Golden Mirror's having a little bit of technical difficulties here.
Uh-oh.
Golden Mirror she just needs a little juice. Okay. It's okay. Of course, folks, we can't save atheists from boredom, and we definitely can't save theists from Yahweh without the help of being reborn in the refiner's fire. Of course, the refiner's fire is in the house.
Feel those flames. Feel those flames.
Your tithes and your love offerings go directly into the golden plate. Your donations help to support the weed fund, the building fund, and the tuition fund. And of course, last but not least, the sexiest lizard person in all the land. He is a man of space and technology, as well as a big YouTube star. Give it up for the conspiracy causing Jewish space laser.
L'chaim.
Jewish space laser, always in the house. All right, folks. And of course, joining me in the pulpit, none other than the first pastoral assistant of the First Church of the Cult of the Flying Man and the president of the Board of Deacons. Deacon No Name is in the house of worship. Give it up one time for Deacon No Name. Give it up one time.
Hallelujah.
All right, folks, couple of quick announcements. We now have a bot on the channel named Myron Bot. Okay, Myron Bot in the house. If the command is not working, it will be by next week. But let's see. We'll just go ahead and throw a little Myron Bot. See if Myron Bot is awake with us today. We also have a channel currency named Myronite. Okay, this is the precious gem stoned near the Grand Canyon, Arizonian region. And we have discovered a cache of it that we keep in-house specifically for this purpose. And so you will receive 10 Myronite for every 10 minutes of watching our streams live. You will receive an extra 100 Myronite if you are active in the chat during that 10-minute window. And you will receive a whole stack, 10,000 Myronite, when you subscribe or make a donation through Streamlabs. But folks, I got bigger announcements than even that. Okay. First off, we're gonna have to start with some very, very particular loyalty settings here. So first thing we're gonna do is right now, I am adding a full stack to all viewers who were here at the time that I showed up and went live. Boom.
Oprah
Winfrey, full stack dropped on all viewers. Also, new
you
policy.
Get a stack. You get a stack.
Don't you hate? And this is a very serious political thing. You know, No Name and I are having a burgeoning candidacy for presidency here, and we need to show you the type of leadership values that we have. So let me give you a couple examples. Don't you hate it how if you don't pay your electricity bill on time, you get a late penalty? Yes. But if their service goes out and so you don't have electricity for a day or two, there's no consequences?
Oh, yeah. There's not like I get a check in the mail.
Don't you hate it how when you go to the doctor's office, if you're even 5 minutes late, they hit you with that $50 late fee, but the doctor keeps you waiting in the waiting room for like 45 minutes and just nothing, not a word.
Not a damn thing.
Okay. When I schedule a stream, the people start showing up. They show up early and they start chatting and they start waiting and they start anticipating, okay?
Tension building.
So from now on, when I show up, we're not just going to give points to who's first and who's second and who's third. We're going to be dropping points on all the people who are participating in the chat before the stream even starts. After it goes scheduled and it gets started. But today, to symbolize that, we're dropping another stack on everybody.
That's right.
Okay. But not
this
only
is showing you that the church pays out in the real world, not in the next life. Fuck the next life. I want my cash now.
YouTube Punk said his wife waited at least 8 hours in the doctor's office. That is so awful.
She should have been paid $80,000.
YouTube Punk, another stack for your wife's 8 hours in the doctor's office. Now, folks,
we'll pray for you.
To go one step further,
prayer circle for you tonight.
I am dropping another 10,000, a whole stack on everybody who is here when I go live because I was late. You see what I'm saying? See the difference? Because I was late. If the schedule says we're going live at 10 and we go live at 10:01, I owe everybody a stack.
You do.
Because I was late.
You know it to be true.
And that's on me. Okay? So that's the type of accountability you can expect around here. Okay? Just a little different. So now run off to your little Pine Creek, begging for your little fake Pine points, and run over and collect your little Nathan nickels and tell them they need to step their currency game up. Folks, also, when you come back next week, you're going to start being able to redeem your currency. You're going to be able to play special sound effects, ask for special features and requests, redeem special benefits. And then at the end of every month, we're doing a giveaway to the leader with the most points.
Value for your fake money.
Straight giveaway. On top of that, huge currency bonuses for first, second, and third place. Okay? And on top of that, we're going to pick amongst our mods and ministers because you don't want your mods competing with your viewers. So we're going to have a mod of the month as well. We're going to do something very special and package up something very nice for them. Folks, I told you.
It's going to be very tasty.
Champions have championship responsibilities, and it is my job each and every week to keep the game going forward so that I am, without a doubt, your undisputed United States champion of Word Wrestling Entertainment. There is no competition, folks.
None. Zero.
All right, now let's keep it moving right along. We're going to jump into the first portion of our program here with Christopher Hitchens. Now, I know a lot of you are thirsty for the word. Due to some programming changes we had to deal with last night so that we could react to Taylor, we are saving this week's reading for next week. So tune in next week and we will make sure we have a scriptural reading. Before we get into our audiobook here, are you ready for communion, Deacon No Name?
Oh, I was born ready.
Okay, folks, I don't know what you got at home, but grab yourself some of that sweet, precious blood of Jesus and lift your cups with me. Through him, with him, in him.
I'm burning incense.
In the unity of the flying man. All glory and honor is yours who flied for our sins forever and ever. Get your drink on.
Amen.
I don't mean to sound like a cannibal on y'all. I don't mean to go there, but who knew the blood could be so refreshing? All right, folks, let's get into this. Believe it or not, I am not the man of the hour. The man of the hour is none other than the legend himself, the one and only Christopher Hitchens, folks. So let's get into this chapter 4, why religion is probably really, really, really bad for your health.
Crank that shit up.
Chapter 5. The metaphysical claims of religion are false.
You good there, No Name?
I am a man of one book. Thomas Aquinas.
Hell yeah.
We sacrifice the intellect to God. Ignatius Loyola. Reason is the devil's harlot, who can do naught but slander and harm whatever God says and does. Martin Luther. Looking up at the stars, I know quite well that for all they care, I can go to hell. W. H. Auden, the more loving one. I wrote earlier that we would never again have to confront the impressive faith of an Aquinas or a Maimonides, as contrasted with the blind faith of millennial or absolutist sects, of which we have an apparently unlimited and infinitely renewable supply. This is for a simple reason. Faith of that sort, the sort that can stand up at least for a while in a confrontation with reason, is now plainly impossible. The early fathers of faith, they made very sure there'd be no mothers, were living in a time of abysmal ignorance and fear. Maimonides did not include in his guide to the perplexed those whom he described as not worth the effort, the Turkish and black and nomadic peoples whose nature is like the nature of mute animals. Aquinas half believed in astrology and was convinced that the fully formed nucleus, not that he would have known the word as we do, of a human being was contained inside each individual sperm. One can only mourn over the dismal and stupid lectures on sexual continence that we might have been spared if this nonsense had been exposed earlier than it was. Augustine was a self-centered fantasist and an earth-centered ignoramus. He was guiltily convinced that God cared about his trivial theft from some unimportant pear trees, and quite persuaded, by an analogous solipsism, that the sun revolved around the earth. He also fabricated the mad and cruel idea that the souls of unbaptized children were sent to limbo.
Also, very quickly, folks, one of the things we've been celebrating this week is that I quit the Twitch affiliate program. Twitch is where I got my start. Spent a long time streaming over there. Got very emotional. I remember crying when I made the Twitch affiliate program. I just felt like me and my little community had made it and we were doing big things. But being in that affiliate program did not allow me to simultaneously stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So I quit it so that you guys could just get the content more directly at the same time. So I'm really excited about that. So Hippie Smiles, thanks for coming through. And as you guys can see, Hippie Smiles is here on Twitch. A lot of my other community and people here on YouTube. We're always mirroring everything live on Pocket Locker 86 on Twitch. So really excited about that this week and super excited to see our Twitch and our YouTube viewers all in the same place together. Awesome.
Who can guess the load of misery that this diseased theory has placed on millions of Catholic parents down the years?
Thanks for the file,
until it's shamefaced and only partial revision by the Church in our own time. Luther was terrified of demons and believed that the mentally afflicted were the devil. Luther was... Muhammad is claimed by his own followers to have thought, as did Jesus, that the desert was pullulating with jinns or evil spirits. One must state it plainly. Religion comes from the period of human prehistory when nobody, not even the mighty Democritus, who concluded that all matter was made from atoms, had the smallest idea what was going on.
Thank you for the follow.
It comes from the bawling and fearful infancy of our species and is a babyish attempt to meet our inescapable demand for knowledge, as well as for comfort, reassurance, and other infantile needs. Today, the least educated of my children knows much more about the natural order than any of the founders of religion. And one would like to think, though the connection is not a fully demonstrable one, that this is why they seem so uninterested in sending fellow humans to hell. All attempts to reconcile faith with science and reason are consigned to failure and ridicule for precisely these reasons. I read, for example, of some ecumenical conference of Christians who desire to show their broad-mindedness and invite some physicists along.
All right, y'all are going to forgive me too because I just realized I started in the wrong chapter. I was making sure I had our time. I was like, he's not talking about medicine yet, quite, is he?
Oh, well, this is a rather long build-up.
This is a rather long introduction to talking about medicine. All right, but folks, Pope Winfrey is here to help you, the most high apostle of the cult of the flying man. No worries. What do? Accountability. We make it up to everybody. We add that stack. We drop the stack on everybody. Boom, right. Accountability. I fucked up, you get paid. See, you're not even going to mind when I make mistakes anymore. Y'all going to be sitting there, I hope Jay's fucked some shit up. I hope Jay's late. Root for it. I hope he stumbles. I hope, because I'm going to just get paid. You know?
Cheering.
Right.
Face of the buzzing, suppurating idol, first killed in...
All right, so this is the end of that, and then we should be good right here.
Pig's head on a stick. And he was more right than he could have.
Boop. Music. There we go. Dope.
Chapter 4. A note on health to which religion can be hazardous.
There we go.
In dark ages, people are best guided by religion. As in a pitch-black night, a blind man is the best guide. He knows the roads and paths better than a man who can see. When daylight comes, however, it is foolish to use blind old men as guides. Heinrich Heine, Gedanken und Einfalle. In the fall of 2001, I was in Calcutta with the magnificent photographer Sebastião Salgado, a Brazilian genius whose studies with the camera have made vivid the lives of migrants, war victims, and those workers who toil to extract primary products from mines and quarries and forests. On this occasion, he was acting as an envoy of UNICEF and promoting his cause as a crusader, in the positive sense of that term, against the scourge of polio. Thanks to the work of inspired and enlightened scientists like Jonas Salk, it is now possible to immunize children against this ghastly malady for a negligible cost, the few cents or pennies that it takes to administer 2 drops of oral vaccine to the mouth of an infant. Advances in medicine had managed to put the fear of smallpox behind us, and it was confidently expected that another year would do the same for polio. Humanity itself had seemingly united on this proposition. In several countries, including El Salvador, warring combatants had proclaimed ceasefires in order to allow the inoculation teams to move freely. Extremely poor and backward countries had mustered the resources to get the good news to every village. No more children need be killed or made useless and miserable by this hideous disease.
And I'm going to get better at just letting Christopher Hitchens go. But one thing I really want to respond to immediately is I'm very excited about this because, you know, so much of my origin story in this community is COVID isolation and everything. And I just remember how amazing it was that for that hot moment in time where that became the world's singular focus. You notice you didn't hear about international conflict for a while. For some reason, like literally war found itself on the back page as everybody had something more important, a more sort of common global enemy. And I'm just so disappointed in our response. And I feel like in some ways, this is as close as we're going to get to hearing him address our current situation through this analogy, right? And so just wanted to kind of highlight that.
Back home in Washington, where that year many people were still fearfully staying indoors after the trauma of 9/11, my youngest daughter was going dauntlessly door-to-door on Halloween, piping trick-or-treat for UNICEF, and healing or saving, with every fistful of small change, children she would never meet. One had that rare sense of participating in an entirely positive enterprise. The people of Bengal, and particularly the women, were enthusiastic and inventive. I remember one committee meeting where staunch Calcutta hostesses planned without embarrassment to team up with the city's prostitutes to spread the word into the farthest corners of society. Bring your children, no questions asked, and let them swallow the 2 drops of fluid. Someone knew of an elephant a few miles out of town that might be hired to lead a publicity parade. Everything was going well. In one of the poorest cities and states of the world, there was to be a new start.
Thanks, you too,
and then we began to hear of a rumor. In some outlying places, Muslim diehards were spreading the story that the droplets were a plot. If you took this sinister Western medicine, you would be stricken by impotence and diarrhea, a forbidding and depressing combination. This was a problem because the drops have to be administered twice, the second time.
Your balls are going to be huge, 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 huge.
As a booster and confirmation of immunity, and because it takes only a few uninoculated people.
Go ahead, no name.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it on Twitter. That's how I know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Basketball-sized balls.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm infertile now, and giant balls, thanks. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks, Obama.
3 times over on my side, and I'm growing titties by the hour.
That's right.
To allow the disease to survive and revive, and to spread back through contact in the water supply. As with smallpox, eradication must be utter and complete. I wondered, as I left Calcutta, if West Bengal would manage to meet the deadline and declare itself polio-free by the end of the next year. That would leave only pockets of Afghanistan and 1 or 2 other inaccessible regions, already devastated by religious fervour, before we could say that another ancient tyranny of illness had been decisively overthrown. In 2005, I learned of one outcome. In northern Nigeria, a country that had previously checked in as provisionally polio-free, a group of Islamic religious figures issued a ruling, or fatwa, that declared the polio vaccine to be a conspiracy by the United States and, amazingly, the United Nations against the Muslim faith. The drops were designed, said these mullahs, to sterilize the true believers. Their intention and effect was genocidal. Nobody was to swallow them or administer them to infants. Within months, polio was back, and not just in northern Nigeria. Nigerian travellers and pilgrims had already taken it as far as Mecca and spread it back to several other polio-free countries, including 3 African ones, and also far away Yemen. The entire boulder would have to be rolled right back up to the top of the mountain. You may say that this is an isolated case, which would be a grimly apt way of putting it, but you would be mistaken. Would you care to see my video of the advice given by Cardinal Alfonso Lopez de Trujillo, the Vatican's president of the Pontifical Council for the Family, carefully warning his audience that all condoms are secretly made with many microscopic holes through which the AIDS virus can pass? Close your eyes and try to picture what you might say if you had the authority to inflict the greatest possible suffering in the least number of words. Consider the damage that such a dogma has caused. Presumably those holes permit the passage of
the most possible damage in the least number of words. An evil, so evil, everybody thinks that is good.
Other things too, which rather destroys the point of a condom in the first place. To make such a statement in Rome is wicked enough, but translate the message into the language of poor and stricken countries and see what happens. During carnival season in Brazil, the auxiliary Bishop of Rio de Janeiro, Rafael Jano Cifuentes, told his congregation in a sermon that the Church is against condom use. Sexual relations between a man and a woman have to be natural. I have never seen a little dog using a condom during sexual intercourse with another dog. Senior clerical figures in several other countries, Cardinal Obando Bravo of Nicaragua, the Archbishop of Nairobi in Kenya, Cardinal Emmanuel Romala of Uganda, have all told their flocks that condoms transmit AIDS. Cardinal Wamala indeed has opined that women who die of AIDS, rather than employ latex protection, should be considered as martyrs, though presumably this martyrdom must take place within the confines of marriage. The Islamic authorities have been no better and sometimes worse. In 1995, the Council...
Yeah, it's creepy. I mean, it's eerie just how much this speaks to our current situation. Like, yeah, it's one of the things that really made me really excited to share this. And this is why I love this, because, again, I'm trying to start this audiobook series off going for the throat, in a sense. We're going to start with Darwin, Dawkins, and Christopher Hitchens in reverse order. And this is just absolutely pristine case, not for atheism, but for anti-theism. And yeah, I'm just giving it to you where I got it from.
Council of Ulemas in Indonesia urged that condoms only be made available to married couples and on prescription. In Iran, a worker found to be HIV positive can lose his job, and doctors and hospitals have the right to refuse treatment to AIDS patients. An official of Pakistan's AIDS control program told Foreign Policy magazine in 2005 that the problem was smaller in his country because of better social and Islamic values. This in a state where the law allows a woman to be sentenced to be gang raped in order to expiate the shame of a crime committed by her brother. This is the old religious combination of repression and denial. A plague like AIDS is assumed to be unmentionable because the teachings of the Quran are enough in themselves to inhibit premarital intercourse, drug use, adultery, and prostitution. Even a very brief visit to, say, Iran will demonstrate the opposite. It is the mullahs themselves who profit from hypocrisy by licensing temporary marriages, in which wedding certificates are available for a few hours, sometimes in specially designated houses, with a divorce declaration ready to hand at the conclusion of business.
Jay, let's go to Morocco. Go to Morocco and get married, baby. Come
But
on.
look, you know how serious we can make that, and like, give me a couple sentences here. Think about how much our whole counter-apologetics community is mostly concentrated in America and Europe, right?
Yeah,
So like, if we could, we really should go to Morocco, right? Like,
I'm down.
yeah, for sure. That building fund, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Call it prostitution. The last time I was offered such a bargain, it was just outside the ugly shrine to the Ayatollah Khomeini in South Tehran. But veiled and burqa-clad women, infected by their husbands with the virus, are expected to die in silence. It is a certainty that millions of other harmless and decent people will die, very miserably and quite needlessly, all over the world, as a result of this obscurantism. The attitude of religion to medicine, like the attitude of religion to science, is always necessarily problematic and very often necessarily hostile. A modern believer can say, and even believe, that his faith is quite compatible with science and medicine, but the awkward fact will always be that both things have a tendency to break religion's monopoly, and have often been fiercely resisted for that reason. What happens to the faith healer and the shaman when any poor citizen can see the full effect of drugs and surgeries administered without ceremonies or mystifications? Roughly the same thing as happens to the rainmaker when the climatologist turns up, or to the diviner from the heavens when school teachers get hold of elementary telescopes. Plagues of antiquity were held to be punishment from the gods, which did much to...
And this is exactly why, for those of you that tuned in last night to Late Night Counter-Apologetics, I went for the sorry young lady, you're not doing science approach, rather than taking the bait of trying to debate somebody on the molecular machinery, right? Like, you guys are just gonna have to deal with the reality when you start to throw your faith into this other region where you're gonna bump up against empirically verifiable claims, and the people who spend their entire lives cataloging said efforts. You're going to deal with people who can pull your card in a way that is not what you're used to in a faith community. And so you got to get used to that difference pretty quickly.
Jay, are
Go
you
ahead.
trying to convince me that monkeypox is not, in fact, a plague from Jehovah as a punishment for TikTok and Instagram thoughts?
And it's just like, that's where we're at, right? Like, that's, like, I don't know. It's almost like, shouldn't we just take people seriously because they seem to keep saying shit like that, right? So yeah, I think we're really there, and like that's why I find this stuff genuinely frightening, right? Like I think something powerful happened yesterday, which I think for the first time people saw me
Really?
sort of react to something that genuinely like struck my professional passion, right? And I was totally triggered. And that's because this shit is frightening to me. And I do genuinely believe that there's so much at stake here. And I think he's just going to keep laying that out for us. Fired up, but honestly, I have to be honest, beyond useful, like to a place where I wasn't way off my game. And even last night during Late Night Counter-Apologetics, I could feel myself like waffling between the like, you're just literally raging personally in your own emotional response to this stuff, and you've sort of thrown out this is a young lady in your field, who's training, and if you were really dealing with her as a colleague, you'd have to, and I started to kind of reflect on those things in real time. But yeah, I definitely realized that I'm not at my best when something makes me react that strongly, because even though I think the emotional response is justified, it certainly wasn't doing me any favors in terms of like substantive critique or response to her, right? It was probably something I just needed to get out, but I definitely don't think it's the best way to go about things.
the whole of the priesthood, and much to encourage the burning of infidels and heretics, who were thought, in an alternative explanation,
Thanks, YouTube.
to be spreading disease by witchcraft or else poisoning the wells.
Shame on you for not
We
being
may
dead
make
inside.
allowances for the orgy.
Yeah, I know, right? And I could hear it all night from, you know, you thinking about you and Doug and some of the stuff my one black friend was saying, even when we were dealing with Tangelo. I definitely felt convicted of it. Like, ooh, yeah, I still got a lot of work to do. I'm still very new to this.
You're an evangelical atheistic scientist.
I am, yeah.
You get really
Definitely.
fired up
Yeah.
for the doubt. You're
Yeah.
like, no, I will not let you take my doubt away from me. Jehovah, you behind me, Jehovah. Get behind me, tempter. So, you know what it is.
Of stupidity and cruelty that were indulged in before humanity had a clear concept of the germ theory of disease. Most of the miracles of the New Testament have to do with healing, which was of such great importance in a time when even minor illness was often the end. St. Augustine himself said that he would not have believed in Christianity if it were not for the miracles. Scientific critics of religion such as Daniel Dennett have been generous enough to point out that apparently useless healing rituals may even have helped people get better, in that we know how important morale can be in aiding the body to fight injury and infection. But that would be an excuse only available in retrospect. By the time Dr. Jenner had discovered that a cowpox vaccine could ward off smallpox, this excuse had become void. Yet Timothy Dwight, the president of Yale University, and to this day one of America's most respected divines, was opposed to the smallpox vaccination because he regarded it as an interference with God's design. And this mentality is still heavily present, long after its pretext and justification in human ignorance has vanished. It is interesting and suggestive that the Archbishop of Rio makes his analogy with dogs.
Yeah, I think I'd really like to be honest with you. I was kind of thinking that I think in some probably cathartic way, like I got the rage part out of my system. I kind of needed that. And then, you know, kind of like, because that's what my community's kind of here for, right? Which is to support me through how I deal with things. But yeah, I would love to have the opportunity to try to actually sit down and really engage with her. And I think it'd be a lot easier for me now. And to be honest, I relate to where she's at, right? Like, no lie. Like, I was a Christian. I got into science never thinking that it would shake my faith in any real way. Everything I learned, I fit it right back into my theology. I used to argue the same way she argues about the origins of life, about evolution, like, oh, this is just God's way of doing it. And matter of fact, again, like I said, I went to Catholic school. And so we were taught that, right? We were taught evolution. The Catholic Church doesn't have any conflict with that. We were taught that Genesis is our creation myth. So that sort of ability to find the two totally compatible fit with the theology I was instructed in. And it also kind of fit with my family's insistence that the Bible was true and in a sort of fundamentalist sense, while allowing also to like encourage me to pursue science and school and you know, so it was always like fine. And I always tell people I literally had to be taught in college that about this, you know, proposed dichotomy between the two and the conflict and it sounds like you know, she's just in a different place. And yeah, I think we'd have a great conversation. And I'm going to try to talk to Rebecca. So that's something you guys can look forward to. I think Rebecca will probably be on Hot Program, and then maybe we'll be on Bread of Life or something. And so in my earliest conversations with Rebecca, I'm just trying to hang out and get to know Rebecca, but I am going to ask her if maybe she can help me get in touch with Taylor. So looking forward to
that. Would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Definitely. And like I said, I'm very passionate about training people in this field. That's why I want to be at the type of top institutions that I'm talking about. Like when I talk about working at a R1 and being at like a big, you know, public research university, the type of reason I work at that type of institution and want that type of job is because that's the place where you train grad students who are going to be professional scientists, right? Like if you're going to do the type of job I do and be an academic, you actually have to get a PhD, right? You don't become a researcher or something like that without it. And you can only pursue a PhD in a field like ours at certain institutions. You have to have a certain amount of research funding to have the right type of labs to be getting, you see what I'm saying? Like it's not.
Exactly.
And so there's probably less than, maybe 200 of these institutions that can train you for this in the entire world. So these are very difficult jobs to get. And then, like I said, most of the talented students in this field want to go into medicine or biomedicine or something where they're going to make a ton of money. And so when you have people who get trained in research, not to use research as a stepping stone to some, more financially lucrative career, but seem to be really interested in research and teaching and, a potential actual academic, literally we feel like we got to put on the Superman cape and do whatever we can to help train these people, because that's what everybody did for me, number one, right? And they didn't have to. And then that's how we keep our talent and don't let them fizzle out and end up, just going to med school or whatever. So definitely would want to, like I said, encourage her to keep at it and be able to make it like a course correction thing rather than like you shouldn't be here, we don't want you in our club. Like, no, you're one of us, and a lot of us do have a background much more similar to you than you might think, but we've also learned that we have to conduct ourselves a little bit different, as professionals in this field. And, let's just kind of talk about that. And then also give her a chance to actually talk about what she is passionate about with her research, because I'm sure she can actually teach me a lot. And so she could end up being a huge resource to me, because I'm sure there's a lot I could learn from her. Because like I said, that isn't my expertise. So we joke a lot about microtubules, but I'm sure I could learn a lot from her as well.
They do not trouble to roll on a condom. Who are we to quarrel with their fidelity to nature? In the recent division in the Anglican Church over homosexuality and ordination, several bishops made the fatuous point that homosexuality is unnatural because it does not occur in other species. Leave aside the fundamental absurdity of this observation. Are humans part of nature or not? Or, if they chance to be homosexual, are they created in God's image or not? Leave aside the well-attested fact that numberless kinds of birds and mammals and primates do engage in homosexual play. Who are the clerics to interpret nature? They've shown themselves quite unable to do so.
A little steering, I like that.
The condom is quite simply a necessary
Thanks,
but not a sufficient condition
Welcome to the chat.
for avoiding the transmission of AIDS. All qualified authorities,
Hey,
including those who
Scouward.
state that abstinence is even better, are agreed on this. Homosexuality is present in all societies, and its incidence would appear to be part of human design. We must perforce confront these facts as we find them. We now know that the bubonic plague was spread not by sin or moral backsliding, but by rats and fleas. Archbishop Lancelot Andrews, during the celebrated Black Death in London in 1665, noticed uneasily that the horror fell upon those who prayed and kept the faith as well as upon those who did not. He came perilously close to stumbling upon a real point. As I was writing this chapter, an argument broke out in my hometown of Washington, D.C. The human papillomavirus, HPV, has long been known as a sexually transmitted infection that, at its worst, can cause cervical cancer in women. A vaccine is now available. These days, vaccines are increasingly swiftly developed, not to cure this malady, but to immunize women against it. But there are forces in the administration who oppose the adoption of this measure on the grounds that it fails to discourage premarital sex.
I
to accept the spread of cervical cancer.
I'm not like those other immodest people. Flattery will get you everywhere around here, everywhere.
Give that man or woman a stack. Give that
you're in my headspace right now, Deacon No Name. You are
I got the fire in me tonight.
Headspace.
You got me fired up.
You know what? In the spirit of flattery, everybody's getting a stack.
Everybody's
getting 10,000.
You get a stack. You get
it. Everybody gets a stack.
Oprah Winfrey.
The name of God is no different.
When you plant your seed in the
women on a stone,
prosperity,
the fertile ground
doctrine of the Church of the Flying Man, it will be returned to you 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold.
Praise
as
Jesus.
You give stacks, so stacks you shall receive.
an altar and thanking the deity for giving us the sexual impulse and then condemning it. We do not know how many people in Africa have died or will die because of the AIDS virus, which was isolated and became treatable in a great feat of humane scientific research, very soon after it made its lethal appearance. On the other hand, we do know that having sex with a virgin, one of the more popular local cures, does not in fact prevent or banish the infection. And we also know that the use of condoms can at least contribute, as a form of prophylaxis, to the limitation and containment of the virus. We are not dealing, as early missionaries might have liked to believe, with witch doctors and savages who resist the boons that the missionaries bring. We are instead dealing with the Bush administration, which, in a supposedly secular republic, in the 21st century, refuses to share its foreign aid budget with charities and clinics that offer advice on family planning. At least 2 major and established religions, with millions of adherents in Africa, believe that the cure is very much worse than the disease. They also harbour the belief that the AIDS plague is in some sense a verdict from heaven.
I just want to highlight that phrase right there.
Than the disease. That offer
The
advice on
AIDS
family
plague
planning.
is somehow a virtue.
At least 2 major and established religions, with millions of adherents in Africa,
No, this one.
believe that the cure is very much worse than the disease.
They believe the cure is very much
Cure.
worse than the disease.
Mm.
Just, I mean, like, is that not it right now? Right? Some of us are fighting COVID and some of us are fighting the COVID vaccine. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There are people who will literally argue till they're blue in the face that since there is a non-zero chance of getting some kind of complication from the vaccine, they have every right in the world to refuse it. Even though if you use the same analytics they use to arrive at those numbers, then you get, a far higher percentage chance of getting the disease, getting damaged by the disease, and spreading the disease. So,
right. And then,
how can you consider yourself an evidentialist and arrive at that conclusion?
Ventriloquism is just one of my many talents. It's unbelievable to me because it's like you said, like, why do you you don't have to go to, oh, well, I'm an evidentialist, right? We always say, like, you don't have to, somebody's getting got by the bug zapper. But it's like, you don't have to go there, right? You don't have to
we should name the zapper.
Yeah, we do. Well, yeah, we gotta think of something for the zapper. That's like
Needs to join the crew with plate and mirror
another soul zapped. That's another soul that just got zapped.
Right.
Off into the
every time you say you doubt, an angel gets zapped.
Yes. Another angel has been zapped. I fucking love it.
They also harbour the belief that the AIDS plague is in some sense a verdict from heaven upon sexual deviance, in particular upon homosexuality. A single stroke of Occam's potent razor eviscerates this half-baked savagery. Female homosexuals not only do not contract AIDS, except if they are unlucky with a transfusion or a needle, they are also much freer of all venereal infection than even heterosexuals. Yet clerical authorities persistently refuse to be honest about even the existence of the lesbian. In doing so, they further demonstrate that religion continues to pose an urgent threat to public health. I pose a hypothetical question.
Frank Zappa.
As a man of some 57 years of age, I am discovered sucking the penis of a baby boy. I ask you to picture your own
Christopher Hitchens.
Ah, but I have my explanation already. I am a moil, an appointed circumciser and foreskin remover. My authority comes from an ancient text, which commands me to take a baby boy's penis in my hand, cut around the prepuce, and complete the action by taking his penis in my mouth, sucking off the foreskin, and spitting out the amputated flap, along with a mouthful of blood and saliva. This practice has been abandoned by most Jews, either because of its unhygienic nature or its disturbing associations, but it still persists among the sort of Hasidic fundamentalists who hope for the Second Temple to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. To them, the primitive rite of the Peria Mestiza is part of the original and unbreakable covenant with God. In New York City, in the year 2005, the ritual, as performed by a 57-year-old male, was found to have given genital herpes to several small boys, and to have caused the deaths of at least 2 of them. In normal circumstances, the disclosure would have led the Public Health Department to forbid the practice, and the mayor to denounce it. But in the capital of the modern world...
Yeah, it's so gross and so weird. And, like, here's the fucked up part. The part he's about to get to right now is where it gets even worse. Like, where they have the chance to do something, and they're like, well, what should we do?
In the first decade of the 21st century,
right,
such was
like,
not the case.
Jay, I've decided that as a committed diabolist, devil worshiper, not the flag-waving phony Satanist kind, I'm talking about, like,
legitimate,
legit devil worshiper. I feel like the U.S. government is infringing upon my rights by preventing me from performing a religious sacrament. Right? I have a volunteer. She has volunteered to be sacrificed for, our Lord and Master Satan.
Right.
And as they do, they just got to beat them off with a stick,
Right.
And
right.
And so anyway, so the feds shut us down. They said we couldn't do that. And I want to understand why, when Orthodox Jews can bite off the tips of little boys' penises and kill them that way. You can do that, right? Like, that seems.
Yeah.
These people are consenting adults. I mean, they are volunteering.
They're volunteering. They're with it. And my thing is, like, if it's about the religious.
Shh, I'm on the air. I'm sorry.
Oh, they're trying to volunteer right now? She's trying to volunteer
No,
right now?
well, they get a little ornery, when I don't pay them much attention. And no, I'm not coming in there. Sorry.
Yeah, no. You gotta beat them up. I'm trying to make a YouTube show.
Exactly.
Do they know each other or something?
Put your gag back in. Nobody said you could. No. Okay.
Listen, I don't want to hear about your weekend. I'm listening to fucking Christopher Hitchens.
That's right.
Compare the two. Compare the intellectual content of the two potential subjects at hand. God damn.
Yeah, we can smash genitals any other time, just not right now.
Seriously, now is not the time for bumping uglies. You know what I mean?
That's right. We can make squishy sounds later. Daddy's got to make a TV show.
Right. So yeah, this is something that people should understand, though, right? When you ask us, like, what is this whole cult of the flying man thing about? What I'm trying to tell you is there are times in this whole thing where atheism is not enough. What we're talking about is you need religion. You need a church, because as a religion, as a church, you can make these arguments. You can petition the government. You can go to court. You can tell the government that they're infringing upon your rights. And when you're not a religion or you're not a church, you can't do that. So this is why
us civilians don't get jack shit.
Civilians don't get a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Don't get a goddamn thing.
Well, okay, unless you're like a straight white male. I got to admit there's some upsides.
That goes without
There's
saying.
some
You know what I mean? For sure.
Anybody who says different, just come on down to Alabama. Now, I agree. I'm a little biased. I may live in one of those areas of the country where it is still safe and socially acceptable to be a straight white male. It seems advantageous here, is all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, I just think that this kind of gets at that, and it does, speak to sort of our admiration of some of these non-theistic religions that have been able to, make these cases publicly in a very legit way that we definitely admire around these parts, for sure.
That's right.
Instead, Mayor Bloomberg overrode the reports by distinguished Jewish physicians who had warned of the danger of the custom, and told his healthcare bureaucracy to postpone any verdict. The crucial thing, he said, was to be sure that the free exercise of religion was not being infringed. In a public debate
That's
with
the
Peter
response.
Steinfels, the liberal Catholic religion editor of the New York Times, I was told the same thing. It happened to be election year in New York for the mayor, which often explains a lot. But this pattern recurs in other denominations and other states and cities, as well as in other countries.
Yes, the Myonism has a very specific doctrine about old men chewing off the foreskin of babies.
Don't.
You should.
No, it was inscribed. It was inscribed on a tablet, right above "Don't own people."
Right.
Don't bite the tips
Right.
off of baby
Right.
boys' penises.
And
Now,
the
what
first-
two grown men do with their teeth and penises in their own time, in consenting manner, that's fine.
Right, that's different. Gnaw away.
Gnaw away. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I am kink shaming because kink shaming is in fact my kink, and I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
also
Also, some kinks need to be shamed because your
dirty,
kink,
dirty,
just like your
nasty.
religion can be stupid and boring, your kink can be stupid or boring.
Exactly, like furries. I think pretty much everybody agrees. Gay, straight, Nazi, feminist, brony. I think we can all agree furries are just objectively.
Not YouTube Punk. I think YouTube Punk might be in the furries. So, yeah, it's just I'm with you, man. You gotta respect your kinks, and yeah, I don't know. I'm actually, I gotta be honest with you, man. I'm feeling the communion tonight. The communion's been real good.
You feeling the spirit of doubt?
I'm feeling the spirit of doubt.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's have communion.
I got the warm and fuzzies. We're gonna do more.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, folks! If you haven't started on your communion ritual, don't know what you're waiting for.
Animist and Muslim.
I have a
young
thurible
girls are subject
filled with holy incense that I I have to light and breathe.
The holy incense.
Yes, it's heady perfume occasionally, and
I'll be
it
letting
gets
them know
me
too.
closer to the spirit of doubt. It
It's
sets me
fit
free.
for the anointing. The cannabis.
It is.
Right.
It's
Sometimes
very
they
anointing.
forget, folks.
to the
folks.
hell of
Oh, sorry,
circumcision.
I didn't mean to hit
and
that. Folks, listen.
Your trigger hack.
Just like there are 1, 2, 3 viewpoints on your screen right now, we have a trinity of sacraments, okay? They're really not that hard to remember. Just a little bit of indoctrination for you. Wait, hang on. Let's get our...
Indoctrinate children.
Sex...
Indoctrination sounds like a bad word until you realize that you can also indoctrinate people into good things.
Listen,
So
I'm
we're
gonna tell you
indoctrinating.
something. I'm going to tell you something
Yeah.
about this. I love the fact that it is my job to get this here, fat stacks, to teach evolution to children at the university.
Indoctrinate children.
So you can, in fact, indoctrinate children for money. But folks, I forgot what I was gonna say.
If you invest in the Church of the Flying Man today, you will reap the rewards in the today, and then you too can indoctrinate children for fat stacks.
Indoctrinate
like
children for
A
fat stacks.
pyramid of indoctrinating people all the way down. Just get in.
Indoctrinate children.
Get in while you can. Get in while it.
All right. But
Love
here's the
that
thing.
money.
But here's the thing. Now, I want to address more substantively
Sure.
C.S. Lewis's comment here because
Fair.
I think it's a really important one, and I want to just reiterate what I said. I am totally okay. I'm what you call pro-choice about birthhood. Okay. I'm
About what?
pro-choice birthhood. Okay, meaning that
What is birthhood?
specifically with regard to the doctrine of old men chewing off the foreskin of babies, right? We got to talk about baby penises.
Okay.
My first and foremost priority with the baby penis thing is you really shouldn't have babies. That's the first and foremost thing.
That'll clear up a lot
That'll
of these
clear up
issues.
a lot of these issues.
Right. Like
Right
the whole
there.
do you eat the baby, do you not eat the baby debate, that'll be settled.
That'll be settled.
Adrenochrome, gone. All that shit dries up.
Overpopulation over,
Child marriage, sex slavery, all that shit.
Also,
Childhood rights,
listen.
it's all gone.
I think
Stop
since
having
so many
kids.
of these people that we talk to in conversation, that we're trying to find common ground, we want to find common ground with these people, right? Let's face it, they believe in a lot of myths that we don't believe in, right? Now, check this out. One of those myths, right, is the meritocracy, right? I don't believe that meritocracy is real. I don't believe it exists. I believe there's just too much overlap between the birth lottery and the what you contribute to society, so that we can't really establish a real meritocracy. But to find common ground,
I'm glad you explained that, because for a minute there, my head went to a totally different place where, you know, everything was run by mer people.
Skyworks, you are being drawn in here. We're trying to save you from God. That's our mission. So
that's right.
We hope you feel welcome. And if you don't, it's probably because you don't doubt your doubt enough. You
need to let the spirit of doubt move you. Hopefully to donate money, right? Like really, like we also want it to move you to doubt, to laugh, to share this with your friends, to like and subscribe, and you know, all the normal YouTuber things, of course.
Speaking of which, I forgot
things
to mention
that
something
we often fail to ask for.
I forgot to mention a way you can earn stacks. You can earn stacks if you do simple things like, you know, drop a link for the stream on your social media and just say, hey, Jay, check this out. I dropped a post about your stream. And I'll be like, cool, here's your stack. If you're like, yo, Jay,
10,000 Myronites. I mean,
if you're like, Jay, my homeboy ABCD is about to come
10 seconds worth of quote unquote work, tweeting, twatting, whatever. You were going to do it anyway. Right.
A whole stack.
Right.
And then you could be like, yo, Jay, check it out. My man so-and-so is going to subscribe to your channel. You know, let me get a stack. And I'm going to be like, God damn, he just subscribed to my channel. Here's the stack for him for subscribing. He's going to get that. Here's a stack for you for the recommendation. That's how easy it is.
That's right.
Get a stack.
And hey, B.S. Lewis,
everybody get a stack.
This may sound tangential to your comment, but where are your thoughts on the whole artificial baby meat made out of pea protein debate? Like, it's not really made out of baby, but it's got the mouthfeel. It tastes a lot like baby.
Like a miracle baby. What was that Whopper?
Basically, it's a miracle baby
burger.
Impossible baby. Yes, it's an impossible baby. And so, you know, it's mostly made, like I said, it's pea protein. But I mean, it tastes a lot like baby. I mean, you know, I wouldn't microwave it later. Like, I definitely wouldn't I would reheat it in an air fryer. Let's put it to you that way.
So wait, before we get back to Hitchens, I gotta get this meritocracy thing in there, right? So check it out. Let's just say that everybody who's reached like I don't know, let's say the age of like, I don't know, definitely adulthood, right? Has earned full like merit status, because by now they've certainly contributed to someone at some point, right? If we think about it this way, right? Children are actually the least valuable people. They've contributed the least amount to other people. You see what I'm saying?
They're basically parasites.
They're basically parasites. Exactly. They benefit you a little bit, but on net, they're like mostly investment, very little payoff, even towards their parents, and definitely no payoff for the rest of us yet. You see what I'm saying?
And they age you. They stress you out. They cause heart attacks.
And they draw on the
resources. They make your hair
and like
fall out.
The oxygen, and they're
it's like you're allergic to them, and you swell up. We gotta
protect them from mass shootings. They got to go to school, and we got to make sure they don't get shot up while they're at school and shit. Who
got money for Kevlar backpacks?
they got to get vaccinated. Some of them, like half of them. We got to get like half of them vaccinated. You know what I mean?
At least half. But just randomly, we'll do a blind sample, a double blind study on the child population of the United States. We'll just vaccinate half, give the other half of a placebo. We won't tell them which.
Right. So the point is that on this scale, right, children are literally at the very lowest end of the meritocracy, right? And unborn babies, I keep trying to get people to understand this. People don't understand why I'm pro-choice. Like I said, I understand that people have evolved a very natural inclination to reproduce. So if you feel the inclination to reproduce, I understand that, go ahead and reproduce, right? But I personally feel unborn babies are useless. So in effort to find common ground, remember, it's just about finding common ground with theists, conservative people. We want to come together in the spirit of fellowship, right? So in order to find common ground, we just all declare unborn babies useless, and they can be the people we cut off, right? And then everybody that's already alive, right? We treat them like they actually have merited that, right? So we give them things like an increase in minimum wage, free health care, free access to education. See how it works? It's like, oh, you've contributed to the human race. Here's some free shit to help you keep contributing. Oh, you haven't really contributed anything yet? We don't really care about you yet. But if somebody wants to have you, they can. You see what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
So that'll eliminate a lot of this whole baby penis chewing and to circumcise or not circumcise, to christen or baptize, like a lot of those baby type of options. You know, we just really want to encourage people to think. Stop being so selfish.
Also, Christians, if you're listening, right, and you're truly anti-evolution, right? You know that part of evolution. Just ask Jay Bundy, Dr. Jay Bundy, is sexual selection. You just can't have evolution without it, right?
Yes.
So by having children, you're tacitly endorsing, condoning, if you will, evolution or evolution.
Wait a second, bro.
Right.
When was the last time? No name. When was the last time you spent money on a paperweight?
On a what?
On a paperweight.
On a paperweight?
Yeah.
Never. I don't believe I've ever purchased a paperweight.
All right. Well, according to that, we got to add points. B.S. Lewis.
They make great paperweight. I don't know about that. When my daughter was little,
I had to give him a stack. I had to give him a stack. That's a great point. I've never, I haven't spent money on a paperweight recently either. So free paperweights.
Free paperweights.
You know, I'm pro. See, I can be moved. I can be convinced.
They make a mess.
I'm like, oh.
They make if you put your baby on your paperwork, you're asking for it, right? There's going to be poop, there's going to be pee, there's going to be snot and slobber and maybe tears, and they're going to get all bunched up and wrinkled and wadded and knocked off your desk. It's just a terrible idea. I'm telling you, just because you can use a baby as a paperweight doesn't mean that it's practical or that you should. Maybe bronze it first. I don't know.
Baber weights. There you
laminate it. Yeah, Baber weights. Bronze your baby. Instead of bronzing the shoes, just go ahead, bronze the baby.
Oh, just bronze him. Yeah, then he can't leak on you.
Exactly. And they keep that way. You can just put them up on the mantle.
Or
right?
You can preserve it. They'll never grow old. It's like a whole Peter Pan thing. Yeah.
Don't you, as a dad, I've got a 22-year-old daughter, so I can relate. I can think, if I could just go back and her be a little baby again, right? And if I just bronzed her, if I had been smart, because now she's a gigantic 22-year-old pain in the ass, it would just, and think of the money I would have saved over the years on like diapers and shoes and toilet paper for her and stuff, the basics. I mean, she pretty much had to earn the rest herself, but I gave her the basics, right?
Right.
Least I could do as a dad.
So the takeaway here is definitely don't have babies.
Don't have them. No. And if you do, just bronze them early, right? Just bronze. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not going to eat them, if you have like
Yeah.
some kind of ethical. I mean, I still don't get that part.
How about it's just like you freeze your sperm and then call it a day?
Right. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that too. Just don't forget which ice tray you put it in, I guess.
Oh my.
Right,
And
like that
back to
could get a little
Christopher Hitchens.
awkward. That could get a little awkward. I'm just saying.
The slicing off of the labia,
Oh my God.
often with a sharp stone, and then the stitching up of the vaginal opening with strong twine, not to be removed until it is broken by male force on the bridal night. Compassion and biology.
Yeah, it's like when they
allow
make
for a small
beef
aperture
jerky out of
to be left
Wagyu.
a while for the
Something that
butter.
came up on Hot Program earlier is that I actually prefer beef friendly to beef jerky.
passage of menstrual blood. The resulting stench.
Just saying.
bought-
just
you-
saying.
what's that?
Misery
You're like,
I prefer beef friendly to beef jerky.
oh, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that would equate to into food, but I get the joke.
You know what I'm saying? Actually, I got some here. I just happen to actually have some hot and spicy. This is real. This is extra jerky.
Ooh.
It's literally jerky and spicy. So.
Oh.
Anything that can be easily imagined and inevitably result
I like
in
the
infection, sterility,
teriyaki,
shame, and
like
the death
more
of many
the
women
tender
and babies
bites.
in childbirth. No society would tolerate such an insult to its womanhood and therefore to its survival
Yeah,
turn
I love
back
jerky.
up.
if the foul
All right, I
practice
got
was
you.
not holy and sanctified. But then no New Yorker would permit atrocities against infants, if not for the same consideration. Parents professing to believe the nonsensical claims of Christian Science have been accused, but not always convicted, of denying urgent medical care to their offspring.
You hear that that's an absolute oxymoron, right? Just straight jumbo shrimp, right? I heard
Yes.
you chuckle. Christian Science, was that it?
Yeah,
Is that what got you?
that cracked
yeah.
me up.
Yeah, me too.
Parents who imagine themselves to be Jehovah's
Sorry, I'm a little
Witnesses
goofy right now, so it doesn't
have
take a lot
refused
to make
permission
me
for their
chuckle.
children to receive
No, me
blood
too.
transfusions. Parents who imagine that a man named Joseph Smith was led to a set of buried golden tablets have married their underage Mormon daughters to favored uncles and brothers-in-law, who sometimes have older wives already. The Shia fundamentalists in Iran lowered the age of consent to 9, perhaps in admiring emulation of the age of the youngest wife of the Prophet Muhammad. Hindu child brides in India are flogged and sometimes burned alive if the pathetic dowry they bring is judged to be too small. The Vatican and its vast network of dioceses has in the past decade alone been forced to admit complicity in a huge racket of child rape and child torture, mainly but by no means exclusively homosexual, in which known pederasts and sadists were shielded from the law and reassigned to parishes where the pickings of the innocent and the defenceless were often richer. In Ireland alone, once an unquestioning disciple of Holy Mother Church, it is now estimated that the unmolested children of religious schools were very probably the minority. Now,
Jesus.
religion professes a special role in the protection and instruction of children. Woe to him, says the Grand Inquisitor in Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov, who harms a child. The New Testament has Jesus informing us that one so guilty would be better off at the bottom of the sea, and with a millstone around his neck at that. But both in theory and in practice, religion uses the innocent and the defenseless for the purposes of experiment. By all means let an observant Jewish adult male have his raw-cut penis placed in the mouth of a rabbi. That would be legal, at least in New York. By all means let grown women who distrust their clitoris or their labia have them sawn away by some other wretched adult female. By all means let Abraham offer to commit suicide to prove his devotion to the Lord, or his belief in the voices he was hearing in his head. By all means let devout parents deny themselves the succour of medicine when in acute pain and distress. By all means, for all I care, let a priest, sworn to celibacy, be a promiscuous homosexual. By all means, let a congregation that believes in whipping out the devil choose a new, grown-up sinner each week and lash him until he or she bleeds. By all means, let anyone who believes in creationism instruct his fellows during lunch breaks. But the conscription of the unprotected child for these purposes.
I like how he
something
equates
that
that
even
to
the
the
most
same kind of torture as being flogged.
Yep.
educated secularist. can safely describe as a sin.
All right, folks. So I just dropped a whole stack on everybody because that was such a good idea. And we are definitely going to keep this going. That was a tremendous idea. So I tried to drop a whole stack on everybody. Just had to do it. Had to be done.
Sometimes when the spirit moves you.
When you help the content around here, folks, we respond to that. Speaking of helping the content around here, folks, got to show you that we are so grateful for all of your tithes and love offerings that you have bestowed upon us by dropping them into the golden plate. Of course, we recently, after we defeated Cameron Bertuzzi for this here Word Wrestling Entertainment United States Championship, your contributions helped us place the deposit on the belt, including the custom Heartbreak J side plates. Belt heavy as fuck, but take a good look at the side plates, folks. Okay, very, very important stuff. 10 pounds of gold that you guys helped us secure.
Hey, thanks for the heads up on that, Jim.
Hang on a sec.
Check that out.
Watching Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon. Stephen Fry versus Catholic Church. Check it out. I have seen that. I've seen it maybe like 3 times or more. It's something I've watched a bunch. I can't recommend it enough. Check it out. It's a great debate. It's really good. There's another one on like Islam a religion of peace and stuff like that. There's a lot of those. But folks, just want to thank everybody who's donated to our channel. We've had a lot of donations in the last couple weeks coming in. Definitely help us with number 1, the weed fund, because marijuana is expensive. Number 2, the building fund. We are reinvesting in our content through upgrades for the wardrobe, hair and makeup, audio, video, security, and worship teams. Like I said, your contributions have already helped us pay the deposit for the championship belt and the custom side plates. The tuition fund will help send our ministers and I to pay for our enrollment, room, and board at the prestigious Scrooge McDuck Bible University. There we will pursue our dual PhDs in spiritual acquisition and ministry development with a special concentration on prosperity theology.
Exactly.
And so to celebrate that, folks, it is, of course, time for us to sing our offering song. Let's go. If you're happy, put your money in the plate. If you're happy, put your money in the plate. Oh, if you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy, put your money in the plate. Sing it with me, y'all. If you're happy, put your money in the plate. If you're happy, put your money in the plate. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy, put your money in the plate. Links in the description.
Folks, if that didn't move you.
All right, beautiful, wonderful. Thank you for that, folks. We appreciate
Then you're not
your
dead
contributions. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
I do not set myself up as a moral exemplar and would be swiftly knocked down if I did. But if I was suspected of raping a child, or torturing a child, or infecting a child with venereal disease, or selling a child into sexual or any other kind of slavery, I might consider committing suicide whether I was guilty or not. If I had actually committed the offence, I would welcome death in any form that it might take. This revulsion is innate in any healthy person and does not need to be taught. Since religion has proved itself uniquely delinquent on the one subject where moral and ethical authority might be counted as universal and absolute, I think we are entitled to at least 3 provisional conclusions. The first is that religion and the churches are manufactured, and that this salient fact is too obvious to ignore. The second is that ethics and morality are quite independent of faith and cannot be derived from it. The third is that religion is, because it claims a special divine exemption for its practices and beliefs, not just amoral, but immoral. The ignorant psychopath or brute who mistreats his children must be punished, but can be understood. Those who claim a heavenly warrant for the cruelty have been tainted by evil, and also constitute far more of a danger. In the city of Jerusalem there is a special ward in the mental hospital for those who represent a special danger to themselves and others. These deluded patients are the sufferers from the Jerusalem syndrome. Police and security officers are trained to recognize them, though their mania is often concealed behind a mask of deceptively beatific calm. They have come to the holy city in order to announce themselves as the Messiah or Redeemer, or to proclaim the end of days. The connection between religious faith and mental disorder is, from the viewpoint of the tolerant and the multicultural, both very obvious and highly unmentionable. If someone murders his children and then says that God ordered him to do it, we might find him not guilty by reason of insanity, but he would be incarcerated nonetheless. If someone lives in a cave, claims to be seeing visions and experiencing prophetic dreams, we may leave him alone until he turns out to be planning, in a non-phantasmal way, the joy of suicide bombing. If someone announces himself to be God's anointed and begins stockpiling Kool-Aid and weapons and helping himself to the wives and daughters of his acolytes, we raise a bit more
beautiful, by the way,
skeptical eyebrow. But if these things can be preached under the protection of an established religion, we are expected to take them at face value. All three monotheisms, just to take the most salient example, praise Abraham for being willing to hear voices, and then to take his son Isaac for a long and rather mad and gloomy
Hey, thank
walk.
you so much, Jim.
And then the caprice, by which his murderous hand is finally stayed, is written down as divine mercy.
You will be rewarded in the real life.
The relationship between physical health and mental health is now well understood to have a strong connection to the sexual function or dysfunction. Can it be a coincidence, then, that all religions claim the right to legislate in matters of sex? The principal way in which believers inflict pain on themselves, on each other, and on non-believers has always been their claim to monopoly in this sphere. Most religions, with the exception of the few cults that actually permit or encourage it, do not have to bother much with enforcing the taboo on incest. Like murder and theft, this is usually found to be abhorrent to humans without any further explanation. But merely to survey the history of sexual...
Jim, thank you so much, bro. Echo. All right. I will definitely accept your friend request, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dread and prescription, as codified by religion, is to be met with a very
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you.
between extreme prurience
Same here,
and
Cameron.
extreme repression. Almost every sexual impulse has been made the occasion for prohibition, guilt, and shame. Manual sex, oral sex, anal sex, non-missionary position sex, to name it is to discover a fearsome ban upon it. Even in modern and hedonistic America, several states legally define sodomy as that which is not directed at face-to-face heterosexual procreation. This raises gigantic objections to the argument from design, whether we choose to call that design intelligent or not. Clearly, the human species is designed to experiment with sex. No less clearly, this fact is well known to the priesthoods. When Dr. Samuel Johnson had completed the first real dictionary of the English language, he was visited by a delegation of respectable old ladies who wished to congratulate him for not including any indecent words. His response, which was that he was interested to see that the ladies had been looking them up, contains almost all that needs to be said on this point. Orthodox Jews conduct congress by means of a hole in the sheet and subject their women to ritual.
And this is kind of the thing, too, like, even about a lot of these conversations that I sometimes struggle, even when you see stuff like the church, like, oh, they outed this big minister because he had this sexual scandal in his church. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, like, I don't even want to jump on that because it's like, yeah, this is what happens. Like, you guys have this totally sexually repressive culture. Like, nobody escapes that. And, it's what we would sort of expect if this was in fact just a perfectly natural part of being a human being, that being a Christian didn't make you immune from, right? And then we kind of just want to deal with it more in terms of, maybe power dynamics or whatever other type of issues there might be. But it's jokingly sort of why I said, like, you wouldn't worry if you were trying to have fun with Christian chicks, right? Because it's like, look, like, I think there are real consequences to this sort of sexual repression. I think it literally stops you from fully developing and maturing sort of intellectually, emotionally, socially, and all those sorts of ways. And so I think it's one of those things of, again, anti-theism, why I don't believe in God, but I'm, obviously at least close to Christopher Hitchens on the idea that religion poisons everything. And I think, like, as you know about me, like being a sex researcher, I'd put its attitudes towards sex, chief amongst my concerns of ways that religion sort of undermines our civility.
Baths to cleanse the stain of menstruation. Muslims subject adulterers to public lashings with a whip. Christians used to lick their lips while examining women for signs of witchcraft. I need not go on in this vein. Any reader of this book will know of a vivid example, or will simply guess my meaning. A consistent proof that religion is man-made and anthropomorphic can also be found in the fact that it is usually man-made in the sense of masculine as well. The holy book in the longest continuous use, the Talmud, commands the observant one to thank his Maker every day that he was not born a woman. This raises again the insistent question: who but a slave thanks his master for what his master has?
And I'm sorry, like, in 2022, if you can't show me that your religion is true, that alone right there is enough for me to be like, nope, sorry, right? Like, just basic shit. You come tell me some book is sacred, divine, inspired by some God I should worship, and show me the part where it says you should wake up and thank God you're not a woman, and I'm done with it. Done already.
Yeah.
Has decided to do without bothering to consult him. The Old Testament,
like, this is, again, another point we need to bring out with our theists. This religion thing is going to cost you not to be seen as moral, but to submit all claims to moral authority. Just surrender all claims of you being a morally superior individual. The truth is, you live a fucking fairy tale, and you do what a book tells you to do, and you are morally less relevant than an unindoctrinated
Indoctrinate children
who is genuinely still trying to figure out the difference between right and wrong.
Testament, as Christians condescendingly call it, has woman cloned from man for his use and comfort. The New Testament has St. Paul expressing with contempt for the female.
Later, B.S. Lewis.
Throughout all religious texts, there is a primitive thought that half the human race is simultaneously
Have fun,
a
little person,
and yet is also a temptation to sin that it is
Yeah,
impossible to resist.
we prefer little people.
Perhaps this explains the hysterical cult of virginity and of a virgin, and the dread of the female form and of female reproductive functions. And there may be someone who can explain the sexual and other cruelties of the religious without any reference to the obsession with celibacy, but that someone will not be me. I simply laugh when I read the Quran with its endless prohibitions on sex and its corrupt promise of infinite debauchery in the life to come. It's like seeing through the let's pretend of a child, but without the indulgence that comes from watching the innocent at play. The homicidal lunatics, rehearsing to be genocide.
Did you pause it on purpose? Jay? We can't hear you.
No name. I got to restart the stream. I'll send you a link on Discord.
What happened?
You hear me?
Yeah.
No name?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
All right. Let me go back here. Sorry about that. All right, let's here, let me get my camera going. All right, let's see. I'm gonna send a quick link over to Deacon No Name on Discord. Send that, and then I'll drop another one in the chat. We'll upgrade the banner. I see you. What's up? Yeah, I'll drop some pocket change on y'all in a sec. Yep. Good looking out. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Sorry about that. See you later, B.S. Lewis. Thanks for coming through. Have a good night, my friend. Oh, it's probably because the stream here.